to the King James Version, where each and every week my friends Alan and Adam recount Bible stories from their childhoods to me. I've never heard them before. My name's Nick.
I'm Alan.
And I'm Adam. We're back, baby.
Alan, I'm really excited you're back.
I
mean, you were back last week.
Yeah, but this is like legit back, not just I watched a cartoon.
Right. And I though I enjoyed doing the cartoon recaps, I was thrilled not to have to watch a Bible cartoon this week.
I'll be honest, I really enjoyed listening to you guys talk about them, but 4 was enough.
Yeah. 5, technically.
Well,
yeah, the idea that there are 13, I was like, Alan, Alan, please come back soon.
I feel like it was a podcast made for me, and I was getting tired of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was getting... The Miracles of Jesus was hard to start and then hard to get through.
I think it's because that one, like, just... the content is shitty, which is funny because it's the entire Christian religion.
Well, I mean, that was like half of our
That's what you were talking
podcast
about.
was literally us going like, how did you drop the ball on this?
I did pull up the episode on YouTube on my phone in the Rite Aid parking lot to like look up what you guys were getting wrong.
That is dark.
Wonder how many people have pulled that up in a Rite Aid parking lot. More than you'd think.
Probably more than you think.
Just like their safe space.
Yeah. I was trying to think. Dinah and I were coming up with just like weird correlations and like how many people do you think of like had a knockout drag out the week before isolating at home happened and like was like I'm going to move out next weekend and then like lockdown happened and now they're still stuck with that that spouse. Like
I would like to think of it as like they took a roll of duct tape just like straight down the middle of the apartment.
Yes.
Classic. I thought that you were going for like there are couples out there who are very into The Greatest Adventure, but they're very into different episodes. And so they're having arguments about like, well, I want to watch The Miracles of Jesus. Well, I'm going to watch Dave. Fine. We'll both just watch on our iPads on our headphones.
See,
well, first of all, Miracles of Jesus person's wrong.
So we're back this week with a normal episode.
Yeah.
And we're starting at the beginning. Literally in the beginning.
Yep.
Page 1.
Before this was written, nothing existed.
Genesis 1:1.
So Nick, what do you know about the creation of the world and universe and humanity?
You know,
From the biblical standpoint, not much.
Sure. I should say that.
from the scientific perspective.
I mean, so big guy creates everything in a span of 7 days.
Technically 6.
Right. And then sleeps.
Yep.
That's the whole thing, right?
Yep. Nailed it.
With a little bit of granularity, basically.
Yeah, you basically
You have to blame somebody.
Right. And technically, there definitely is like argument, but with the exception of day 1, I guess day 1 could be universe. But like my understanding was always that it was the earth, not the universe.
Oh.
I understand there's interpretation.
Yeah.
This whole thing is.
I remember talking about both. Like the earth was like a new test planet, but
Whoa.
Kind of.
You're getting into the like esoteric.
Yeah.
I was going to say, we're getting into I feel like we're dipping into that weird technology spinoff that we went on.
So
the flood shit.
By even talking about that, we're like retconning how this was made because, any creation myth was created by people about the earth.
Yeah. Who weren't, who by definition were not there.
And it's like a, what's it called? A heliocentric model. What's the earth centric?
Yeah.
Anyway, but like how it's the selfish thought where it must be about us. So God created the earth, but by also like
by extension,
nothing else existed.
Right.
Yeah.
I never took it. So, I mean,
you're just like floating in space, like an untethered astronaut. And then he was like, I'm going to create some people.
Right. In my like projection of it as a child, it was like God's just cruising around the universe building shit. And, and the creation story was the beginning of us. And so the universe was out there, God was out there, and he just like,
yeah, but no other humans.
Correct.
Yeah. They're just dead planets.
Oh, no. Other creatures.
Oh, creature. Really interesting.
But also, I mean, I
feel like Christians don't believe in aliens.
Oh boy.
Well, see here, depends. If you're a Seventh-day Adventist, you do.
Just because of the people on Jupiter?
Well, no,
God.
No, not Jupiter. No, because of,
that's Ellen White had
Ellen White. It's not,
of 9-foot people on Jupiter.
There's that too.
The gas giant.
I was thinking more, there's Ellen White just talking about the Great Controversy, because the entire Great Controversy is that Earth is the like playground between letting the devil's plan play out so that God can prove to the rest of the universe. And that insinuates that there is a rest of the universe.
People are watching. Okay. Yeah, fair.
And the idea is that Earth is the only one that fell.
All right.
Every other planet had a test like us. and we're the ones that fell. And so we are the proving grounds to prove we're the litmus test.
So this all seems like a new introduction or appendix material. Let's get to the page 1 material.
So today we're only talking about the 6 days of the actual creation. We're not going into esoteric. We're not going into the fall of man. In fact, we're barely touching man.
Okay.
Yeah. Just a little.
We're touching woman?
No.
Okay.
Just a little poke at man today, but.
So should I just start at the beginning?
Let's start at the beginning. I'm actually curious, Nick, because it's a little confusing. It's not like day 1, dirt, day 2, lizards. It like jumps.
That is the correct order.
I mean, makes sense. I don't know. I mean, where do you go from there? You got 5 more days.
Well, because it starts.
Excuse me, 4.
It starts with like varying types of water and stuff. So it's not as easy as just memorizing like specific things.
Well, you got to start with the inside, right? So you have to do hell first.
Oh,
we don't.
Hell's a different dimension.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
if it exists at all.
Okay.
Adventists would say that hell doesn't exist. So that's Alan and I grew up with the idea of a non-permanent hell. So the state of the dead is a big part of Adventism. I'm just going to burn through this really quickly. State of the dead.
I'm not excited.
Essentially, when you die, you sleep. You don't go anywhere right away until the judgment. And at the judgment, all the people who are deemed evil, quote unquote evil, are burned immediately. Like gone
on Earth.
On Earth. So the concept of hell is an instantaneous flash. There's no like eternal hell, which is very contrary most of the rest of Christianity.
I'm actually good with that.
So anyway, so you can't start. That is to say, no, you don't start. You do start with magma, I guess.
Yeah, right.
Should I?
So yeah, go ahead, Adam. So take it off.
Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. That's like the beginning. And basically, day 1 is God creates light, and he separates light from darkness and calls the light day and the dark night. Day 1.
Okay.
Yes, but you forgot about the without form and void. So the
earth was formless and was void.
It's a glob. You know, when they look at they send video from the International Space Station and they're like playing with water.
Yeah.
That.
Or I always pictured nebulas of like dark colors.
Yeah, it says the earth was without form and void, and darkness was on the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters.
Okay.
Yeah, there's waters in space.
Yeah, it's just like water and just kind of globbing around.
Which is kind of important for day 2, because day 2 is separating the waters, the air from the firmament. And what that means is separating the sky from the water. There is no land yet.
Okay.
I'm so excited that you used the word firmament.
Right? Well, because it's a fucking, like, when else have you ever heard firmament?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So Nick, the firmament was a term kind of created in the Middle Ages, and it's the solid dome theory. Have you heard of like the nested spheres?
I don't think so.
It's
this is more fodder for my sci-fi Noah or Tower of Babel bullshit.
So this is.
I did not anticipate to be this lost for this story.
No, see, this is actually the best part.
So you're going to be fine once you get past the first couple of days.
So the initial view of the universe in the 6th century was a flat rectangle.
Okay.
So we're in flat Earth territory.
Yeah.
A flat rectangle surrounded by 4 seas.
Can you imagine living on the corner?
And at the far edge of the seas.
I mean, we do.
Well, I'd be like the corner of the world, like where like there's fall off to nothingness on each side.
Yeah. Can you prove otherwise?
Okay.
Or?
Fair enough.
So flat Earth, but not only flat, but like rectangular Earth. Because there's 4 seas.
That's
one on each side.
Little Caesar's Bigfoot pizza.
Correct.
Absolutely. And then
Box is the ocean.
At each, there's 4 immense walls as well.
Box is the ocean.
And then there's a vaulted roof or firmament, which
Box
is where
the sky.
Yeah, we're in a space box. And that's where the angels live, and they control rainfall from a big cistern.
Oh.
So that is like, that's like the first view.
That would also explain why like rain is so sporadic, because like angels are just kind of fucking it up.
Just dicking around, super soaker fights. And then the Greeks, which would have been about the time that this was written, the Bible, or this part of the Bible, the Greeks developed celestial spheres where they're like nested
Greeks are
inside
balls.
each other. Absolutely. With the earth at the center. So it goes from like Earth and then the sky, the clouds, the planets, and then eventually the stars, which is the
like a dome layer of planets,
like the Russian nesting dolls.
Yeah. Okay.
And inside
kind of all
us is
spinning each other.
Yeah.
And inside of us is Hollow Earth.
Yeah, that would infer that our layer is hollow as well.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where firmament comes from. Apparently the Greek or the Hebrew word it translates to beat or spread out thinly, as in the process of making a dish by hammering a lump of metal.
Okay.
So like, you hammer it and it becomes like a rounded.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I was like, that's really neat. That's a neat word.
Yeah.
Totally.
So like already, if you're going for Bible as truth, it's like,
We got some problems.
it's super wrong. Like just like, regardless if you believe that a God, sparked the universe, firmament is
wrong.
pretty wrong.
Sure.
I believe like Galileo was the one to poke the big holes in it.
I mean, I feel like in terms of Bible as truth, and I think that you'll talk about this later, this part is like you opposed to just a story of some guy that you can't really prove if he existed or not. And so maybe this happened to him. This is like the stuff that people spend their whole careers and decades actually researching.
Yeah. Yes. I mean,
You mean like people who try to prove that
Science.
creation is real, or like that science is real?
Yes.
Yeah. So scientists and then creationists.
Right, yeah.
Heavy air quotes.
yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Was mine?
I mean, I was raised in a very like literal view of creation.
Right.
And so when I started to poke holes in it, the whole rest of the Bible toppled. It's literally the start of the Bible.
Yeah.
It would have been such an easy, like the thing that's crazy about it is it's such an easy, like saying this is poetry. As soon as you do that, it's such an easy way to fix that, to plug that hole.
Yeah.
Which I don't know why.
But I was definitely raised in the earth was created in 6 days by a giant dude.
Right.
And that's just, you have to believe that.
Yeah.
So what do we got? We on day 2?
It's very strange because in my mind, like God is definitely like a non-blue Dr. Manhattan.
Okay.
Like that's how I picture God.
What color is he?
In creation?
But with a white beard.
No, like
No white beard?
in my brain, it's a 3D projection of Dr. Manhattan. Why do I keep wanting Captain Manhattan? Dr. Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
Like he looks like Dr. Manhattan.
Okay.
In my, like he's glowing a little bit.
Glowing dong.
No dong. Always in the water up
dongless.
to his waist.
Oh.
Oh, that's nice.
I can't explain why.
Like cruising around the universe in a hot tub.
Well, no. So he's in like a nebula, like he's cruising along, like eyes are glowing, and he's just like got this like light trails coming off of him. This is way more than I was expecting to share.
Like Professor X, but it's a cloud.
Yes. Yeah.
There's also a little like Silver Surfer element.
Yes. Yeah. There's just like, and like kind of
Silver Surfer would have made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, like Silver Surfer is just like Silver Dr. Manhattan.
I would love to know
I get it.
where that visual came from because I didn't read comic books. It's like, anyway, it's just an interesting, like that's always been my projection of what God looks like.
No
in the beginning.
toga and white beard.
No, naked, but bust.
You have a more classic interpretation.
I honestly never gave a thought to like what God looked like when he was doing this.
Jerry Garcia. Alan pictures Jerry Garcia.
Sure.
In a toga.
More like fit Santa.
Oh, okay.
Isn't that what God is?
Basically.
Like chiseled Santa?
Yeah. So we're on to day 3.
Firmament, yes. Now that we went off on firmament.
Yeah. So firmament.
It's really hard to say.
Firmament. I always assumed it was like a takeoff of terra firma,
I'm sure it is.
or one variation of the other. Anyway, so that's day 3, right? Nothing else happens on 3.
Correct.
Day 4, we get land. Basically, like God's like separate the waters, and like I assume that means like move the waters away
So that the land can come out
which
here.
is not how volume works.
You're saying now we're starting day 3?
I'm starting day 3.
They're starting
Correct.
day 3. Yeah.
Sorry. Yes. Got my days mixed up. So basically, land in my brain, it should be like islands coming out of the ocean, but the way it's described, I'm always confused by because he separates the waters.
Yeah, it's more like water, get off of here real quick.
Which then the way liquid works would just run back in, but it doesn't in this case.
I would say if you imagine like it's Earth is a glob of mud surrounded by a thin layer of water, if you kind of just like part valleys in the mud, it would create continents.
Sure.
Like giant hands.
Yeah.
I guess.
Like making a moat around your sandcastle.
I guess that, something like
It is tricky with the same amount of volume.
Right.
Like if you're not changing that at all.
that's where
Like if he's not scooping any of the water away a little bit.
right. That's where my brain starts going,
Yeah.
Anyway, land appears, and I believe plants.
Well, yeah.
Vegetation.
Yeah.
So we basically get vegetation.
We start with grass and then we move to seeds and trees, but also all at the same time.
Okay. Great.
Yeah. Seed pods explode and trees just instantly grow.
Yeah. Well,
and you've got, you know,
you only have one day to do it, so you might as well.
Right. Like I'm sure there's in one of those
This is
movies.
a 24-hour day. What are we talking?
See, this is the thing.
Nick.
Don't.
Some definite. So I would say that the classic fundamental Christianity is a 24-hour day.
Which given
Even though
something
the
hasn't,
fucking sun doesn't
I was
exist
going to say,
yet.
yeah, we like, so maybe if we're going off of like technicalities here, maybe that day was.
And then some Christians who could try to jive a literal creation with evolution is like a day is like an epoch.
Right. An
Like
era.
Yeah, like a long, it was a day.
Sure.
So like,
I don't know. I keep doing like physical quotes.
I get you.
Yeah.
But like day one.
It's fun that they're flexible on the idea of day then.
Correct. Well, like maybe day one is representing the creation of the solar system. So you get like light and dark. You actually get the sun bursting forth from a nebula.
Yeah.
Day two, you've got the formation of the planet.
Yeah.
You know, blah, 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 blah.
And that's where I like the, again, if I had been raised with this as poetry, it would have been much harder to pick apart, because if you think of on the first day, God created like matter, I'd be like, oh, that's the Big Bang.
Yeah, of course.
And then like on the second day, God, created like the firmament, and it's like, oh,
the formation of planets and
things, separating and
Yeah.
clumping together. Like the creation poem kind of tracks with evolution if you're willing to be like poetic about it.
Right. Yeah.
Even down to like, creating man at the end. Like they were the last to evolve.
Sure.
Yeah.
But that's not how we were raised.
No, and that's the rigidity of 6 day creation 4,000 years ago.
Yeah.
is the problem.
Yeah.
6,000 years. I'm sorry, 6,000 years ago.
Sorry. So we have plants.
Yeah. So day 4, God goes like, oh shit, I forgot about the rest of the solar system. So that's when you get stars, moon, sun.
Okay.
And lights in the firmament.
Right. Which I assume is stars, right?
Yeah.
So you get stars, moon, sun.
Yep. You get all the
Do we
celestial bodies.
have other planets?
No, because they don't exist.
Okay.
Well,
Got it.
They're probably part of that.
Okay.
But that
I would say they're part of that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is
Still
why-
trying to figure out if he's creating Earth or the universe.
Correct. That, and also like we're now introducing the day problem, because you're like, wait, how are you defining the day if there's no sun?
Yeah.
Also, where did the light come from?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now I feel like, right. There was light before. There was day and night. And now he's created the sun.
Right. So there's issues.
Right. Maybe he just had a really good internal body clock, or she, 24 hours cycle. Mm-hmm. And
God is male, given that what's coming.
great. And
Oh, true. I was going to argue that God is like ace or is
Like asexual?
non-sex, but no, you're correct.
so he created the sun as just like eventually there's going to be, I'm going to create these people who aren't going to know, like they're not going to have that
Oh, that's
timing.
an idea.
And so I'm going to create this little like light bulb thing that tells them,
Right.
okay, it's done now.
Yeah, he was basically like, he was holding a flashlight in his teeth while he worked.
Yeah.
And then he's like, fuck, I'm just going to go get the shop light.
That's exactly.
Yeah.
God found the light switch and turned it on. Twinkle lights came on.
Yep.
And it's like, oh, if I put a little reflector over here, I can actually see better.
Yeah.
During the night. Cool.
No. According to this, the moon is a light.
Oh, okay. It's a.
Then God
glows.
made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night.
Okay.
I mean,
it's poetic.
if we're not keeping track at all, but keeping track, there's the number 2, like, that's just not, it's not a thing.
Yeah.
No. We've
Maybe
called-
it does actually light up and he forgot to plug it in. Like what we're seeing is the reflection. Oh. But that shit actually does get brighter.
It actually
True.
gets brighter.
Like an unplugged in light bulb is shiny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's never really supposed to be dark around
Right.
here.
Well, on the other side of the moon is just a big light switch.
Yeah. Oh, that's we've never seen it because it's always dark over there.
Yeah.
All right. This is by far the best explanation we've had.
Well,
so
yeah,
far.
because when God left, he hasn't come back yet. He just like left the room and turned the lights off.
Yep.
I get
Right.
it.
And then he just hasn't come, and he hasn't come back for the second coming.
Should have done a motion sensor.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Just get like
A clapper?
Yeah. Just get Buzz Aldrin's out there like. So good. Or maybe that's the conspiracy theory is they turned the moon off when we landed on
or
the
like the
Yeah,
people
that's the conspiracy theory.
the people who say that we never went to the moon, like,
Right.
well, if they went to the moon, they would have fucking turned it on.
right. A-holes.
Just jumping around like idiots.
Kubrick didn't think of that, did he?
Forgot to turn it on.
Where are we at? 4 or 5?
I don't know. 5.
5. Day 5 is birds and sea creatures.
I cannot believe that you're nailing it so far.
You're a little disappointed,
I'm
aren't you?
so upset. I really wanted him to get one wrong.
Birds and sea creatures.
Yeah. So
Okay.
the dumber animals, I think, is the implication. Simpler animals.
Throwing shade at some birds.
I'm not Bible-less.
Which again, besides
I like that
bird,
you pointed at Alan too. I'm not.
I was pointing at the computer, but yes.
but besides birds, like if it were just fish at this point, be like that still tracks with evolution.
Sure.
But the birds kind of poke a hole.
Maybe it
in
was
that.
fish first, then birds, and we're just going like,
Yeah, no lizards, little salamanders.
what are birds but hairless fish?
I'm gonna say,
Wait,
according to Bible standards,
Featherless birds is what I meant, but I got with hairless fish, and that's not.
What is a hairless fish? But a fish.
Well, you wanted me to mess up. That's
God also talks to the hairless fish here.
he does.
Yeah, he says, and God bless them. Or and
You're
God,
ugly.
And God saw that it was good, which he says every time.
I skipped at the end of every day. God
That's
thought
every
it was
time.
good.
Yeah. He saw that it was good, but then he says, he like talks to the birds, be fruitful and multiply and fill the waters and the seas and let the birds multiply over the earth.
So he starts with that.
So he's talking,
That's
he's
with
talking
animals.
to his creatures. I mean, I guess I talk to my dog.
Yeah, usually get out of the way.
Yeah. Well, that's with my dog.
And who knows how long he's not had the pleasure of conversing.
That's true. Well,
He does have a host of angels,
right. But they're kind of
interdimensional
drony,
space beings.
sexless.
Yeah.
Boring.
Yeah. They're mostly just slaves.
Shiny, but boring.
Shiny but boring. And then so we're at the day 6 now, right?
We're at day 6.
Okay. So day 6, we get land animals and with the culmination of man. And man is carved out in the image of God. That's why I was saying that God is a man.
You did leave out creeping things and beasts of the earth.
Creeping things.
I was going to ask about the creeping things.
Everything on earth. Everything on land.
They say land, and then they specify cattle, creeping things, and beasts.
Which sounds like a child's way of like describing animals. We got cows. We got creepy things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
and everything
real
else.
specific, vague.
It's like how my toddler will point to a cow and be like, a horse. And I'll be like, oh no, that's actually a cow. He's like, nope. It's a horse. Like, okay. It's now a horse, I guess.
Yeah.
The certainty of being a toddler would be lovely.
So creeping things. We're talking your snakes, your reptiles, amphibians,
Yeah, bugs.
bugs.
Yeah, if its belly drags on the ground, the things
that
you
was a
can't,
food category.
yeah, the things you can't eat.
Oh, okay. Right. Got it.
You can't eat any creeping things.
It is really interesting that you basically can eat everything on day. Almost. No, it's not true. Never mind. Ignore that. And then so we're developed and we're basically like formed out of like, and we're the only one that God like formed by hand. Everything else he kind of just like spoke and went into existence. But man, he came down and like physically formed us out of the dirt, made us in his own image, and then breathed life into us.
Okay.
So there's this weird thing with the creation poem where right there, well, it goes into the 7th day and he rested. And that section, chapter 1, is like different. It's written differently than the rest of Genesis.
Like in English or in like early translations?
Yeah, old.
Okay.
Original. And it talks about the creation of man there. It created man in his own image. He made male and female. He created them. He blessed them. Go fill the earth and multiply. And then the next day he rested. That's the detail that goes in there.
Wait, so he
That's
didn't make male or female there?
That's the detail that goes in there. And then it changes voices and specifies how he makes male and female.
Oh, weird.
So it's like there's this like beautiful, succinct poem of the creation of earth and male and female. And then like other people stepped in and like decided to write it in a way that made female subservient to male.
Is this like when like in a novel when they have like the prologue that's like a long poem and that they're referencing somebody else, and then the story starts.
And they launch off from there.
Potentially.
I wonder if that's what this was.
They only go back and talk about male and female.
Right. Well, that's where the novel kicks off,
and it's the last thing. Yeah.
But yeah, in chapter 1, it says he wanted to make someone in his likeness, in our likeness. They specify. Which is another theory of like this is more of a multi-god thing.
Oh, okay.
So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him, male and female. Then God blessed them, and he said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it, have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, over every living creature that moves on earth."
Kind of broy. So, but fucking subdue everything.
Yeah, but it's like male and female are equal at that point.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then they're not.
Well, and that's the thing is like, so the question I had for you, Alan, that I was going to like ask later was, in your mind, how long is Adam around before he asks for Eve?
It's a little while.
Because Adam names everything by himself. So basically Adam is then given the test, like God goes like, all right, it's on, I've created all this shit, go name it. Mm-hmm. And Adam just like giraffe, lion, frog, just pointing at things and naming them. And thus we have named.
Yeah.
But then basically Adam starts realizing that everything else has a partner. He was like, well, there's two rhinos fucking over there, and there's 2 sheep fucking over there, and where's my mate?
Yeah.
And
it's really interesting because in that chapter 1, women are a part of creation.
Right.
And then in chapter 2, they basically say God and Adam like buddy copped it and named everything, and they watched things grow.
No, is this
so Adam and like the creation of Eve then does not take place on the 6th day?
No.
Well, it does and it doesn't in the same book.
Okay.
Right. So in chapter 1 it does, chapter 2 it does not.
Chapter 1 it says on the 6th day man and woman,
right.
On the 7th day he rested.
Uh-huh.
And then chapter 2 it talks about Eden, it talks about naming shit, it names some places, and then at the very end it says, "It is not good that man should be alone. I will make him a helper comparable to him."
But that is after the 7th day.
Yes, I guess.
In my understanding, yes.
Does it start? And God woke up.
Yeah, exactly. After a great night's rest. And
great day's rest.
A great day's rest. And so Adam essentially asked God for a mate.
Yeah.
God puts Adam to sleep, takes out one of his ribs, which this is the thing. Like, do we actually, we have equal ribs, right?
Yes.
Okay. I grew up with the belief that and like, I'm sure some teacher said some bullshit like that's why men have one less rib on one side.
I definitely remember.
That's why all dudes can suck their own dick.
Classic 90s.
But only if you're twisting this way. So basically takes a rib and then forms Eve around the rib, which given that he had he built Adam out of dirt, I don't know why he needed the rib.
Right.
That was never quite.
To make sure that women know that they would be incomplete without a man.
Never mind.
I'm not joking.
No, is that interpretation?
That's interpretation,
okay.
Of course.
That's not like, it's like.
So they will always remember.
Anyway, builds Eve, and then wakes them both up and go like, hey, you got, like there's one of each now.
Yeah.
You got an innie and you got an outie and go for it.
Yeah.
It does end with, and they were both naked.
Yeah.
And
unashamed.
The man and his wife.
Do you think they had innie and outie belly buttons as well? Or no belly buttons?
No belly buttons.
I would say no belly buttons.
Right.
No umbilical cord. So.
Right.
There is a thing, and I can't remember where this lands, if this is later, but God only spends the evenings with Adam and Eve. Is that happened earlier?
We're not getting to there yet.
But isn't that earlier too? Like basically God's not around for most of the day, and it's like after work he comes and hangs out with Adam. Because that's part of the reason Adam's alone.
That's not in what I've read so far.
I think that might have been just because later it's an issue because God's not there and Adam and Eve are like by themselves for most of the day.
Yeah.
And so I assumed it just was retroactive all the way back, and that's why Adam felt alone. Is he was like, it's like, well, God's not here, and
absentee father,
right? And these fucking giraffes are terrible conversationalists.
Yeah.
So
God's created the bar now, so he's just there always.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and this is playing into my floaty Dr. Manhattan, finish this one, I'm off to my next planet.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm with you on the Adam was lonely thing, but it's not in the Bible, at least in this version.
Brilliant.
It basically says they're going around naming everything. So Adam gave names to all cattle, to the birds, to every beast of the field. But for Adam, there was not found a helper comparable to him. And so basically God is like, hey, I think think I missed making two of you.
Right.
So it's totally a God thing. It's not an Adam lonely thing. Though I definitely grew up with the Adam being like, I'm lonely. There's only one of me.
Yeah.
So here's another thing that Alan, I want to get Nick's reaction to this. And then also I want to get if Alan remembers being told this and if it's anywhere in the text.
Okay.
The reason this also, I believe this might be an Ellen White thing. So
to recap, Ellen White was a
prophetess,
heavy air quotes, prophet of the Seventh-day Adventist.
No. You can't heavy air quotes. She was a prophet for the, if we're accepting prophets as an existing thing,
sure.
She was a prophet.
She had early childhood brain trauma and
there's that.
a religion formed around her.
She got hit in the head with a rock, literally.
Yeah. So just to clarify, that's who she is that we keep dropping.
But Adventists have this prophet who
Joseph Smith was a grave robber. So whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I'll take Ellen White over Joseph Smith any day, regardless. Sure. Joseph had a kick-ass house in Napa, but that's neither here nor there. I remember being told that the reason that God created man specifically is that he wanted to be loved essentially by a creature with free will, and that the angels loved him because they were created to and had no choice in the matter, and that humans were basically they were proving love because we could walk away. It was essentially the idea behind it.
Whoa.
So he made a cat.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you could still argue
if they choose to snuggle with you, it's extra awesome.
No, I think that's, I mean, because dogs can still
I'm
choose
simplifying.
to. I know, but were you told? Was this a thing?
Yes, I definitely remember that. I think that is I don't think that's from the Bible.
Okay, I couldn't remember.
Not that I've read yet. It seems like religious justification for
our existence,
all these things. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
also, how do we know that we're the only planet that fell?
Right.
That
I think that
chose a little bit
Adventism,
of evil.
Ellen Whitey stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's other people who believe that similarly.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's in the Bible.
Okay.
Though, again, I know I've already talked about this. It makes me upset that I was raised thinking that men were created as part of creation. And then a while later, God realized he made a whoopsie, and that's what women came from. Whereas in the Bible,
or Adam got lonely. Either way is not great either.
Right. But in the Bible, it treats them as equal. And then it goes back and says they're not equal.
Yeah.
That is so frustrating.
Yeah.
My interpretation was that Adam and Eve were always equal until the fall, at which point basically God and Adam went, well, it's her fucking fault.
Well, yeah, we'll get to that next week.
Great. Yeah. Any questions?
So,
We've never done that before.
That's how.
Any questions?
That's how you started. Nick.
Wrap your fucking head around this.
You're not a
dweeb.
primate. You're not a variation of a bonobo or a chimp. You are like a dirt monkey.
You're on board, right?
Yeah.
So,
by the way, that's where
no questions, complaints.
That's where my name
me.
actually comes from. Is the idea of Adam is man from the red earth, as in just I'm a dirt boy.
Adam just means man. It's like first man.
Right.
Or dirt. I mean, dirt boy is literally the translation. Man from the red earth is the.
What's Nick mean? What's Nicholas mean?
Santa.
Don't know.
Yes, you do.
I really don't.
No, someone at some point gave you a shitty piece of paper that said your quiet stream.
You are absolutely correct, and I have forgotten it because it was on a shitty piece of paper.
Okay.
I'm looking it up.
Nicholas, is that English?
And I get it confused with your
Russian.
horoscope, well, I'm an Aries, so does that mean my name is, strong-headed Nicholas? I don't know.
The letter A is just a oxen upside down.
Well, we're totally wrong. Nicholas is Greek, male in origin, obviously, meaning victory of the people.
All right.
There you go.
That's a thing. I like
shit.
I like dirt boy better.
Non-people.
So that's the creation. That's the biblical creation. It's kind of boring.
Guys,
It's kind of boring. It's nice though.
Hold on. I was on this on babynames.com. There's a section on here. People who like this name also like.
Oh.
So people who like Nicholas also like Alexander, Benjamin, Ethan, Matthew, Jacob, Nathan, Zachary, Olivia, Emma, Isabella, Ava, Sophia, Abigail, and Natalie, and nothing else.
As someone who is named has named 2 humans, I'm familiar with those sort of algorithms. My children's names.
You need an algorithm to come up with those names?
Well, no, because what we did when we named our 2 boys is we would go.
Who do you know the most of?
No, we'd go on to make sure that they weren't like trending or popular.
Oh yeah.
Because my wife's name is Ashley, and she was just like born in a dearth of Ashleys.
Or like recent serial killer.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's that.
You can check that on recentserialkillers.com. They're also sponsoring this podcast.
So, is that an actual site? Because God, no, I would believe that was a real site.
So that's the creation myth. It's a little dry.
It's a little dry, but I totally get that it's important. I like I like how poetic it is.
So let's quickly go through one that's less dry.
Okay.
Oh shit.
So in Norse creation,
Great.
the world came out of fire.
By the way,
obviously.
just so everyone knows,
Of course.
Alan's name means Little Rock.
Okay, great. Better than Dirt Boy.
Yeah, agreed.
A spark fed on its own hunger. So there's no external force creating
cool.
this.
Hold on, a spark just like in his existence, and then suddenly is like,
It's basically the universe is chaos, and in that chaos is fire, because fire is chaos.
Yes.
And a spark fed on its own hunger. And once heat and light existed, the opposites were born as well.
all of these are just Big Bang.
So on the opposite end of the universe now is cold and darkness.
Frost giants.
Where they meet, there was a terrible explosion, and that explosion created a giant called Ymir. Ymir had a bit of the spark in him, which means he could create. He sweated from the flames around him, and from the drops of sweat came new giants, because that's how that works.
Yeah.
At the same time that Ymir was created, a giant cow had been formed.
Of course.
And the giants all drank her milk, obviously.
Cattle, man. Wow. Cattle, things that creep on the ground.
Now, because the
And
giants...
you call me crazy for having night milk.
The giants were drinking her milk, so the cow became thirsty and began licking the ice. From the ice, first a man's hair was seen, and then
Hold on,
his
the
head,
cow licked us out into existence?
and then he just popped fully formed from the ice.
Cool.
or not licked us into his existence, but licked us from the iceberg?
Correct.
Okay.
We came from the cold side.
I like that.
Yeah. Buri was the man. He wanted others of his own kind, and he made a son, who fell in love with a giantess, and they had sons, the greatest of which was Odin.
Okay.
Oh, so the gods are half human, half giant.
That level of God are half giant, half human.
Interesting.
Cool.
This is actually not that dissimilar from like Greek myth.
They're all,
Yeah.
What? But like, given that like the Norse and the Greek like were developing at similar times and like
absolutely
very different areas.
So there's a bit of a Freudian psychology here where Odin and his brothers decided they wanted to kill Dad. So they all fought Ymir.
Yeah.
Ymir fell dead in the void between fire and ice.
Oh.
And in his blood became the Great Sea, which is rad. And then they took his body and shaped it to the world. His flesh and bone became the land and mountains, and his skull became the firmament.
More firmament.
Yep, that's how I got to this. So little pinpricks and cracks in his skull is what
the
stars are,
Wow.
which is pretty rad.
Where does
That is
Yggdrasil
cool.
come into this?
We're not going to get anywhere towards that. The gods, the edges of the world are inhabited by angry giants seeking revenge for the death. So again, we're at that kind of like space box.
Yeah.
And then
The great pizza box in the sky.
the gods built large walls to keep the giants out of Ymir's eyebrows,
Right.
which is fucking rad. I don't know. That's my
Big
favorite
ass
part.
eyebrows. like Ymir known for his eyebrows.
So the first humans were created because the gods formed 2 trees that were the first man and woman.
Okay.
Wait, I thought we already had first man.
Well, they're like gods.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the gods also took the maggots that were eating Ymir's flesh and created dwarves.
Oh, yes.
Such an unnecessary detail. Like, by the way, dwarves, they come from the maggots.
Which was also where'd the maggots come from?
I think it's
Where'd
absolutely
the maggots come from?
necessary. Well, maggots covered in the Bible, presumably creeping things.
Sure.
Dwarves not mentioned.
No, but also
So now I do have a problem with
Zacchaeus.
the biblical version.
well, no, the best. This is the thing. Is like, are we talking about like dwarfism, like people's dwarfism, or are we talking about the like separate
it's a race.
Okay, so we're talking about dwarves as in like the fantasy race.
Absolutely.
That's like for me, like everything's like, oh yeah, I'm clocking how these are real things. Like if I was a young Viking and like I'm being told this story and everything clocking. Wait, dwarves aren't fucking real.
But remember in Scandinavia, as part of our Christmas episode, we talked about the smorgasbord where they leave out food to appease like the angry elves and dwarves.
But if on day 5, like God created elves. Like, yes, I believe in elves as far as the Christmas story, like, for like Santa and his elves. Like, I would be like, hold on.
Yeah,
that's
right.
Like, I know that the elves aren't real.
Yeah. Birds, aquatic animals, and elves.
I mean, you can pick all the holes you want in this story, but
I'm not.
We grew up believing.
No, here's
creation.
what's nuts is I'm going along with it. Like, oh, I'll buy that. I buy that. Not the dwarves.
You're a little bit upset about it because of the little tagging of dwarves.
Yes,
man. I'm still in for the eyebrow walls.
Oh, eyebrow. Like that's what I'm saying. Like I'm way into it.
I'm also in it for the dwarves. I think we just haven't found them yet.
Oh,
they're real good at hiding.
Yeah,
they're underground.
Yes.
So I as I was reading the creation story, I'm like, this is fine. We can do better.
Like you want to create a creation story?
No, I just wanted to read this one because
I got it. Okay.
The one we grew up with is boring.
Yeah.
Is it boring because it's what we grew up with, or is it boring because it's...
I delved into that a little bit, but there'd be a lot of reading. Basically, so Moses is credited as writing the first 5 books of the Bible,
right?
Which is probably not true. They were probably written years later in the Babylonian exile, which we are finding out as adults now that apparently that's when a lot of the Bible is written and a lot of the customs. And they think that the group of people who kind of formed the Bible from oral tradition at that point made it kind of intentionally vague to be a little poetic.
Do you think it was Derek and Marco who said, hey, you guys should write this shit down?
Oh, no.
And then Moki accidentally ripped out the part about dwarves.
Yes. Oh. It all
wow.
comes. I'm just saying that Babylonian with the Esther episode.
Hey, you guys can watch that episode now.
The creation one? Yeah, no thanks.
I think it's probably got some pretty sweet animation.
We can also,
it might.
I would like to do some more creation myths in the future.
Absolutely. And I also read that apparently those scholars who wrote these books just blanded out the Babylonian creation myths, which I did not have time to get into.
Yeah,
but now
that could be interesting.
Now I want to read.
I've got a whole book of them right back there.
I wonder if they
I'm ready.
feed into both the Greek and the Norse.
The Babylonian ones have to be the earliest.
Right. So, I mean, I would be interested to see how they, like, if they feed into the Norse and to the Greek, if like that's where like they all kind of come together.
They're absolutely all from that. Like the Noah story is
the Great Flood with like Gilgamesh and all that shit.
Gilgamesh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. After we after we do a little bit more of we flush out the creation, we can delve into some other myths.
Alternative.
Yeah.
And we all just become Gilgameshites.
Mm-hmm. Gilgamites? Gilgies.
Are we done?
Yeah.
Please.
Let's take a break. We'll be right back on the King James Virgin. And we're back here on the King James Virgin.
Hey, thank you so much for listening. You can follow us at KJVPod on both Twitter and Instagram. Nick is still active on Twitter. Instagram clearly is a wasteland. Hopefully we'll get some more photos now. Well, now that Alan's back, somebody's actually taking photos.
It helps. We are also an oral medium, it turns out, not a visual one.
True.
So,
I mean, I guess we should have known that, but yes. Also, it's been quite a while since we've asked for ratings and reviews. And if you have a second and you're enjoying the show and you haven't left us a rating and or a review on Apple Podcasts, please go do that. Those numbers really actually help get us in front of new listeners. And so instead of forcing you guys to tell everybody in your life about us, just go leave us a rating and review, and then maybe spontaneously someone will actually find us new. So that would be awesome. Thanks to Mascaras and Resurrection Records for the use of our theme song, Kixari, off the album El Moran. This week's Resurrection Records artist is Dr. Nod. So stick around for that. You can find these songs, all of our back episodes, stickers, I don't know, random shit on our website, kingjamesvirgin.com.
That'll do it for us this week. Until next week, dwarves, look into them. They're out there. Maybe?
No, they're not.
They're under us?
Drugs are only temporary realities for takes drugs. Yeah, everyone I know takes drugs. Hey, what you got in that bag? Won't you serve it to me? Oh, what you high on today? Hey, won't you pass on my way? Because yeah, everyone I know takes drugs. Yeah, everyone I know takes drugs. Take 'em.
Produced by Sonic Bazaar.